Well, I don't know where you are, and I just want to say you're most welcome to this life. And as we look at the issues of human rights, and this is a very short announcement. It's a very short, actually, issues of concern. And as a human rights consultant and believe in the rights of people, I think that we need to add our voices to many other voices that speaks as it relates to the situation in Nigeria. For those of us who are listening and those of us who will listen, I think the church or the religious leaders need to begin to gather and have their voices heard. The issues of the elections as it relates to the results, I think there's some issues of fraud or whatever that is being alleged. And so, you know, looking at the rights of the people, you look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Uh, 21 is talk about rights to to vote. And if you look at the 29 of the chapter, they talk about responsibilities and a lot of different scripture. I mean, not scripture, but a lot of different parts of the human rights articles and looking at the rights of people if it is being abused or probably not giving them the right to question about the elections. Nigeria is our big brother, and I think what affects Nigeria affects the West, especially the West Africa. So looking at the protests, even coming up from the military, there are other people coming up to testify that there was some fraud. There are a lot of questions about uh, the elections results, and I think uh, as we speak, we can look at the fact that when we talk about human rights, it's an entitlement to every individual, and this right must be protected by law. And looking at this situation, looking at the population of Nigeria, and looking at the different culture, the different you got a lot of people illiterate, and most of them will not understand the implication what it means to protest and to demand their rights. And I think there is an issue. Then there should be some step taken to make sure that they maintain peace because they have the rights to express if they are not satisfied with the elections. So you can see the facts. You can see some of the things from the media. You can see some of the other results, and we need to look at that very closely as human rights actors and people who speak uh, concerning the rights of people. You see, when people are marginalized, and there where we have a problem with war leaders, people who are leaders for our nations, who are supposed to be leading, uh, we have responsibility to respect all the people's rights. We also are responsible to make sure that we maintain peace in our country. So I want to say that there must be some measure taken to really investigate the situation in Nigeria, because if you can see, uh, with all indication that there are problems and there are chaos, it's going to turn into something else if step is not taken, because people demand a right, and it's not just coming from one sector, it's coming from even within the government, with the military and other people who were supposed to be thinking that would be on the side of of whoever wins. but they are there for the nation. So some of them speak and they speak in their minds. So you can just look at it and have a clue. You can look at the result and see the people what they really want. They're ready demanding change. And that's why when we come here to talk about rights and responsibilities, we keep enlightening the minds of the people that they have the right, okay, and they have the right to like to vote in their own leaders, and the fact they have the right, they also have responsibility to act responsibly or to be able to maintain the peace of the land. So why it is true that you look at these articles of the right to assembly, I think it's in chapter 19. uh, you can name all the different articles and coupled with the domestic laws, it's something that you know there must be an action taken in order to curtail the situation. It can be that you can convince, if we are able to convince the opposition of people who are disenchanted, trying to address the issues in the way that they feel it should be addressed. And we all know in Africa what happens. Or people take advantage because, well, they want to be in power. But this is something that you can see. You can just see the fact that there's something going on, and there are a lot of things coming up from those centers. People who was heading centers is coming up to say that they brought a different sheet. Those are indicators to know that probably almost every most of the result will change. And as alleged, if it is true that those kind of situation is something that is happening, then of course we need to begin to look at it very closely as human rights actors. I believe that the world body need to begin to put some eyes, or some voice back right there in Nigeria. They have a very large population, and for the country to choose a leader, they want to make a change, and I think is their rights. And so I say to all of us that as we go towards those kind of situations, we must face the fact, and we'll be able to just, if you can go back to reflect on our own elections when the people wanted change, when the people wanted to vote, they overwhelmingly voted the president George Weah today. So it's something that you cannot change. If the mind of the people is made up, then it's a question about uh, skepticism and it bring chaos, because they cannot resolve the issue if they stay not convinced that well, that they that way. It could be resolved by means of the way they want to do it, and there can only be peace when we have neutral people coming in to talk about and to go into it to investigate, because it's serious. You can see it from outside. You can see it, and everybody that are listening to this tape will know that the support from the government is for the party that is announced to be the winner. So you can see that Africa, actually, we need a lot of education, and we need to begin to understand governance. We understand the fact that well, there can be problem. There's no fair election. People will say all that, but in the case where overwhelmingly you can see it, it's very difficult to do anything. In other words, to change, it's going to be very difficult. You can see the crowd that is following for protests in all the states. You can see the crowd that following for protests, blocking the rules, and things are going on, and people are looking, but they don't understand that there is a need to take decision and to make sure that the right thing be done. Because if the people saying that what they say, what they did, they want to see their results. And so I think these are issues that Africa always go into. And at the end of the day, the government is not really able to produce whatever thing that they were put there for. So I just want to get allowed my voice to be heard. And this is about the issues of everybody. When it comes to Nigeria, it is our big brother. We are in West Africa, and we know that it's all about peace. And if there's no peace, and then you know you have some relative, you have some people, you have some kind of connection back there, and also affect other countries. Okay, so I would say to those of our human rights actors, those of us who understand what it means when when there is misconception of people that are trying to come up with some issues that will not be fine for the nation. So again, to those of us who understand the rights of people and who believe in the people, it is no time to twist or to change results or to do anything that will cause chaos. So Nigerians, you got to put on your thinking cap. You got to be able to understand that, well, the reality is this is what happens, and go to the round table, discuss it, and find a lasting solution. Because we have a problem with African leaders. They always think that, well, we can do it because we're there. We have the power. But for getting to know the center of it, and you know the kind of people you deal with, and the nation is not a small nation. It's a very large population with different mind. There are a lot of people with different minds and already thinking of different things. And you have the economic constraint and people blocking road. You have money exchange. You can't get money from the bank, and everything is just kind of trying to constrain the citizen of our country. And as government, the government of Nigeria, you need to you are there to make sure that the economic situation is fine. So if this is kind of confusing to the people, it becomes chaotic. And so our problem leaders, African leaders and leaders of the world, the African Union and all the different key actor relevant institutions need to get involved and make sure that the rights of the people are been respected, and go back to see, have a independent audit, and know that beside the audit or no or investigation on the elections result, because you can see some of those indicators are there. So if it's true as alleged, then of course there's the need to take action. Okay, so that is my position, and I think this is all about peace. This is all about how we can maintain the peace if we see that the world is going the way it's going, and especially in your country, that people are already going through some constraint economically, and you have a problem with election to want to change, and it went to the ballot box to make a change. So I think they have rights, and though their responsibility is to make sure to act responsibly so that they can be destructive, in other words, to do things out of the way. But you cannot predetermine that, because what happens is we have individual differences. We already have people who are disgruntled, and they are constrained to do it. So if you make them constrained to do it, in other words, they want to change. They feel that they need to make life better for themselves. So if they make the change, and well, if appearing that, well, you still don't want them to make their change, or you still don't want their voices to be heard, then of course, or exercise the right to vote for the right person, then of course it become a problem, and then it become a right violation of the rights of the people. So I say, and to those of us who are human rights actors and leaders there in Nigeria, we're talking about pastors and bishops. It's a very large country with great bishop and imams and big go to meeting and discuss it on the round table, because Nigeria is not just a small country. It's not a small population. And you have a lot to think about when you see people going on the street. The next thing, you already know when it's a constraint, they are trying to find other means to hide other people. And to those who are going on the street also, you got to be really mature enough to understand that, why it is true that you are trying to fight for your right, it is also true that you have responsibilities to act in the way that you'll be able to maintain the peace in your country, and it will help others who live there to be able to go about their normal businesses and do the thing they're supposed to do. What I'm saying, if it continues, if there's no redress, to come to the round table to discuss it and make sure that you you can convince the people, then of course I can see that there will be a way forward. But what I'm looking at is chaotic. And so what I want to say Join us and let talk about this. Join us and let let talk about peace. Join us and let talk about how can we get involved by talking about the issues not only in Liberia, not only in other countries, but what the prevailing circumstances in Nigeria right now. Uh, you can see that they are calling on. The reason why they come on the social media is because they want for the world to know what is going on. So those of us who are also on the social media, who are talking about human rights, and now people rights is seems to be violated. If the right is violated, then of course if the right is actually come against or abused, then that means it's been violated, and it's going to what bring chaos. So we want to say, let's make the world a better place. We cannot, if we don't put up some fires, something that is presuming to be something that if it continue, it may escalate or become something that we never expect. And you know what I'm talking about. Those of us who listen to the sound of my voice, I live in Nigeria for 4 years. Besides that, you know Nigerians, you know some of the part of Nigeria, you know different, they come from different background. You know the front, you know different. We know we've been listening to you, you've been seeing some of the things. So then there's a need. There's another guy from Lagos who came out and say that all the guys who voted for the guy called OB, who is a famous leader, they should leave Lagos. so so there's chaos and confusion. And you know what it means for a populated country like Nigeria to get into chaos. So we pray and we believe God to take control, and we know that our problem, but we as human, God has given us the authority to maintain the peace. And so I say to all of us, those of us who are leaders of Nigerians, look at the truth, look at the reality that there have been a lot of reports from the place of the voting pool, and to electors, voters, and people who were the head, people who are leading, the coordinators, and all of them have the same supervisor is speaking against some things that people came and gave them different report, not taking the original ones and bringing their own private document that they already visited, came and exchanged. There are a lot of different information you can see, and it bring a clue. It make you to see the indicator of the fact that there was a fraud. And this is serious, and we need to talk about it. And we look at it as it may be simple to some country because you're not in the shoe of the Nigerians, probably that really want to change, and they try to do the best they can. If you went to the election, people were there up to the night, even though they was constrained, but they voted for who they felt was the president, whether it was the one that is the leader now or the one that went to the pool. So if they went to the pool, if there's skepticism or some fraud or something that has been detected, then of course it's a need for investigation seriously with a neutral body. And let the world be informed that except we can begin to know that as they are part of the United Nations, they are part of the nations, they too need the rights that deserve a neutral body to investigate the situation that is ongoing in Nigeria. So again, we thank you, and we thank those of us who are listening, those of us who are listening. This is just about what our thought is, and I think we are taking that direction because except you are not people centered, except you are not advocating for the rest of people, you are advocating for yourself. Then of course you're only saying it, but you really don't mean what you say. And it's not just about Liberia, it's not just about where we are, but it's about the global issues. We must let our voice be heard. People will say, "Oh, they will not listen to you or not." Let your voice be heard. Somebody will listen to you. So you have rights, but you also have responsibility. So thank you for joining me, and then be blessed and see that as we all fight in this world, as we all go towards our own election in Liberia, we caution all those who have not voted, all those who don't have a voting card. As you go to register to vote, go and make sure that you have your voting card, because tomorrow you're not going to say, well, I'm not the one to elect the leader or whatever. Make a choice, because the choice you may determine the future. Thank you, until we meet again.